All right, Earnestly Podcast here. Welcome back. Rob Bonnette, 1/3 of the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, also the host of the Rob the Genius Podcast. What's up, Rob?
Hey man, how you doing?
It's been a while. Well, not really. A month, maybe a little over a month.
Well, a month is forever in podcast land.
Yeah, that's true. No, so the last thing you were on the podcast, we reacted to the well, not just the Royal Rumble, of course, but we reacted to the Rolling Stones top 200 singers list. By the way, before we close the shop on that, did you see Shaka Khan's comments on that?
Yes. Oh my gosh, she opened up. She emptied.
Loved
it.
Loved it. What'd you say? Like somebody about like these people that listen to Helen Keller or like Helen Keller. What was the quote? Hold on, I'm trying to find a quote here. I bust out laughing today when I saw it. I was like, oh my lord! And guess what? She's correct. She's correct.
I mean, like, because look, I've said like about like Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige does the Mary J. Blige thing really great. But is she great? Is she a great singer?
No, she goes. So here's a quote. Like after learning she was 29th on the list, she goes, "They need hearing aids. They must be the children of Helen Keller."
Oh man. Look,
anyone that doesn't know about Shaka Khan, you go check out her material. She's look. I'm not even sitting there saying whether or not she's ranked too low or too high. In my opinion, it feels a little low, but I get it. She's not the same big breakthrough star like some of these other like females on the list above her. But I will say this in the conversation of Shaka Khan, that girl can sing.
Yes,
she can sing. She's elite of the elites.
Look, if they put her in the top 10. You could not say, "Oh, why did they do that?"
Because I honestly put her at Beyonce as a vocalist.
See, I'm not sure there. All right, would I have personally put Shaka Khan in my personal top 10? Probably not. But if she's in your top 10, I'm not going to fight you over it.
There you go.
Okay, that's to me that's what it is.
Yeah. Again, I still want to know what their you know. When they made the list, what was the categories? What was the stipulations? That kind of thing.
I don't know because
it's ridiculous.
When they make these lists, they always like when the Rolling Stone list, they talk to actual artists a lot of times. So,
right.
And then because I see, I guess some of that is though, like there are people who we think are no good, but like then the people who work with them will tell you, oh no, this person is good at this and good at that, and like Ringo Starr, like to us, Ringo Starr is just a guy. Right. But I've heard people who have worked with Ringo Starr say he's a phenomenal drummer.
Yeah.
So if artists have different opinions of each other, the same way that wrestlers have different opinions of each other than we do. Right. It's kind of the same thing, I think. So these lists end up kind of weird. But then like, again, then there's like the Taylor Swift thing where clearly they were doing that to rile people up. So it's a combination of both. I mean,
let's be clear though, Rob, and we said this on the podcast last time we spoke. If you don't have Celine Dion in your top 200, you lose all credibility.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I'm done.
I'm
done. I'll walk away. Like, just burn your list.
Yeah, it's basically. And that's no matter what you personally think, because I'm not personally a Celine Dion fan, but to not have her in your top, was it 200? Come on.
200. Yeah. You mean so you can't fit her anywhere in the 200? Anywhere in the 200? Really?
Like I can't name 200 singers who I think are better than Celine Dion. That's for damn sure.
I can't think of 25 more than Celine Dion, honestly, if we keep it 100.
I mean, come on. I mean, that just
exactly. Right.
There's a name missing. Unless I'm wrong, there's a name missing from this top 50 rappers list.
Oh, we'll get to it now.
Okay.
So what we'll do here, to listeners, is it was Billboard and Vibe combined, right? Billboard magazine and Vibe magazine combined to put together a top 50 list. So what we'll do, we'll go 50 to 1, and we'll go in increments of 10, going from 50 up to 1, and we'll just sit there and we'll list up the names, and then see where these names stand, and what do you think, if they're too low, too high, and we'll kind of dissect from there.
All right.
So let's go 50 to 41. 50, you have Rick Ross. 49, Rev Run. 48, Mel. 47, MC Light. 46, Jadakiss. 45, Ice-T. 44, Queen Latifah. 43, Bun B. 42, Redman. And 41, E40.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm not even familiar with all his work. Jadakiss feels low.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest follower of his stuff either.
Mm-hmm.
Higher than 46, yeah, I think so. Now, for me, the absolute worst ones are MC Light and Queen Latifah being this damn low.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Look, either one of them, you could pick either one of them for best woman rapper ever.
Yeah.
Both of them are in the conversation for best female rapper ever. Okay. And better, and I dare say then you could put either one of them in terms of just skills at rapping. You could put either one of them in top 10, period.
Yeah.
Okay. So for either one of them to be this low is ridiculous. But for both of them to be in the four, no, that's horrible.
I'll go say if not both, at least one of these ladies should be definitely on your Mount Rushmore of female hip hop artists.
Yes. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Rick Ross. I mean, he had a little bit of success in the 2000s and the early aughts. Feels a little low, but I'm not going to argue with that. Ice-T, I guess Ice-T's as good where he is. Honestly, I'm not having a problem with Ice-T.
Yeah, because and see, I will see. No, I like about Ice will tell you. Like, look, I'm not. I'm like he basically he's a businessman and a showman and all that time. He'll tell you that he's not that. Look, I'm not as good as these other guys.
Right.
He'll tell you that himself, and he is very brutally honest about where he fits in and how good he is at that and this and that and the other.
Oh, great. He has self-awareness. That's awesome.
Yes. Yes. So I would not argue with him being in the 40s. I think that's fine. He should be on the list. Yes.
Yeah.
But 45, I think for him is fine.
Redman. I'm a huge fan of Redman, obviously.
I love Redman, but I mean, if you're looking at if they were making this list in like 2000, then he would be like a lot higher.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But it's just he didn't have like the he's somebody who's known to if you were big in the 90s rap, then you know who the hell exactly who the hell Redman is.
Yeah.
But if you're just last 10 years or so, he hasn't really been
right.
And he's not a pioneer either, so it's just kind of like he doesn't really get those historical points either.
Right.
So I can live with him being in the 40s.
I feel like E40 is more of a cultural icon, really, just in the Bay Area only.
Like, oh, you're like 40 and Too Short. If you're in Oakland, then they're the gods. Okay. Like, but nationally, yeah, I mean, so E40 being where he is, I think is fair because again, if you go out to Oakland, they'd have him top 1 or 2. But
of course, because that's their boy.
Right. But I mean, nationally, him being in the 40s is about him being at 41, I think is fine.
Right. All right. Let's go to the next batch from 40 to 31. Here we go. 40, Dr. Dre. 39, Ludacris. 38, Gucci Mane. 37, Common. 36, Mos Def. 35, Future. 34, Chuck D. 33, my all-time favorite rapper of all time, Busta Rhymes. 32, T.I. And 31, Lil Kim. Now, this is a little bit interesting here because there's some names here that you see, that's a little shocking. Dre at 40, honestly, doesn't bother me because Dre is too much no more as a producer than he is a rapper. In fact, I wouldn't have a problem with Dre being in the bottom 10.
I wouldn't, if you're talking top 50 rappers, he wouldn't be on my list.
There you go.
Top 50 rappers? No. I mean, obviously, he's a top 5 producer.
Oh, easily.
But I mean, top 50 rappers? Hell no. No, hell no. Ludacris way too low.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, way too low.
Yeah, I agree. At least in the middle of the pack, if anything.
Yeah. Gucci Mane, I'm not. I got no take one way or another on him.
Right.
I couldn't really tell you anything about him. Common, I think Common is about right.
Yeah.
Because it's like the highs are real high, and then the lows are like, what the hell is this shit? And so I think if you average it out, 37 is okay. Mos Def, so I'd have Mos Def lower because he's like a niche audience kind of favorite.
Yeah.
And, Future, I'm not in. I don't do much modern day stuff. I know there are people who swear by Future and think he's really great and everything. I got I got no take on him one way or the other.
Yeah, I think Future at 35, like I'm in the same boat as you are. Like I'm not into modern day stuff outside maybe a few guys, but I have to acknowledge the impact.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
You got to acknowledge the impact, and he's had an impact the fact I know who he is and know a couple songs should tell you that enough.
Right, exactly. So yeah, he should be on the list. Yes.
Chuck D,
34. That is a travesty. Chuck and Busta being 33 and 34 is a travesty.
Well, don't get me started on Busta. That's as I said a while ago, my all-time favorite rapper.
Because Chuck he's in my, depending on what day you ask me, he's 1, 2, or 3 for me. Favorites,
Yeah.
When I'm in Public Enemy listening to mode, then that's it. And he's one of the few people where I can just say, okay, this week I'm listening to Public Enemy and nothing else.
Yeah, he should be in the top 20 at least.
Yes.
I'm not even saying he should be a top 10. The same with Busta. I'm not even saying he should be a top 10. Although with me, you tell me my favorite rapper all the time is number 1 is going to be Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes is the greatest guest verse rapper ever.
Without question.
Okay. Period.
Without question. Yeah. T.I. at 32. He had a little run there for a little while. He's still relevant now today. I have a problem with that here. Maybe I can argue a little low.
I don't have an issue with him because I'm not big into his stuff, but
yeah.
I recognize the impact. I know he's a big deal. I think him at 32 is fine. I mean, and look, he could be a little higher, and I wouldn't argue. Also,
all right, Lil Kim. We talked about like on the first batch of 10 rappers when we had Latifah and MC Lyte. Lil Kim, she is she arguably on the Mount Rushmore too, in your opinion?
I think it's like the Shaka Khan thing. I may not put her on mine, but if she's on yours, no problem. I think because at one point she was the number 1 female rapper in the game.
Yeah.
At one point. So if you've ever been like the number 1 and in the game, then you should be higher than 31st.
So you're saying she's a little low?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It makes sense though. If you put Latifah and MC Lyte so low, then I mean, I'm not going to argue. I mean, she should be a little higher. I mean, both should be high.
Yeah,
So, all right, this is the next batch here, 30 through 21. Here we go. 30, you got Lauryn Hill. 29, Pusha T. 28, Black Thought. 27, Q-Tip. 26, Big Pun. 25, Method Man. 24, KRS-One. 23, Curtis Blow. 22, Ghostface Killah. And 21, Mr. Earl Simmons himself, DMX.
Okay.
All right, brother, break it down.
All right, let's start. 30. Look, Lauryn Hill is super talented. She really is. But she's living off of one album. And
but that album is pretty fucking big, though. I mean, you're talking about like arguably one of the top 10 album, in my opinion, all time.
So, okay, is the one album good enough to get her in the list? Yes. But if we're talking career, I would not put her ahead of Queen Latifah for sure.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I'd have her lower than 30. I'd maybe put her in the 40s.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I actually agree with that because, and I think what you said was key. The lack of material. Although then one can argue Biggie shouldn't be where he's at then either too, given lack of material. But the impact is
and that's it. And of course that's the conundrum of rap history.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll get to that. But Pusha T, I was never big into this stuff. I think 29 is probably a little high.
Yeah, I'm with you. I couple of songs. No, he's good.
Yeah,
he's deserved on this list. But I'm not even saying that. But I'm with you. Like he feels a little too high.
Like if he didn't have the Drake beef, would he be mentioned as much today?
Probably not.
Okay, and that's right. And that's the thing. So I think that's a little high. Black Thought, look, love him as a rapper, just in terms of having just skills as a rapper. I think, you can have him as high as you want, and I probably wouldn't fight you over it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if we're looking at if you got him at 28, but to me, again, if you're comparing careers, if you got him at 28, you got Chuck D in the 30s. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, that's the problem. You have certain guys below him that's like, whoa, wait.
I can't do that.
I like this dude, but like you have guys that are sacrificing spots for this guy. Like, we pushed it a little bit there. I'm with
you. Q-Tip. For me, you can have Q-Tip belongs as high as you want to have him. I think, I don't. I won't fight you over wherever if you call Q-Tip number 1, I won't fight you over it.
Mm-hmm.
27, I think I think I'd put him higher than 27.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Big Pun. No, Big Pun.
Way too high.
So his thing with Big Pun, he gets a lot of love from people I talk to. I don't know much of his material, to be honest with you, but I do know that the impact from what people I spoke to that actually are even more well schooled on hip hop, especially in that era, they say that he's the real deal. Like he's the real deal, and I'm assuming that based on the conversations, it doesn't really bother me as much that he's in that middle of the road, like 20-ish. Too high, probably for me, but
he's way too high for me, man. That's way too high. Yeah, I mean, and no, I mean he was really good, and I mean I was around for like his run, and yeah, I mean he was really good at it, but 26 is too high. I can name 26 rappers better than him without even trying too hard.
Right, and some of them are below his list for the record.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my Method Man 25.
Oh, I love Meth's one of my favorites.
Yep,
again,
mine too.
Wherever you look, you want to put him top 5, I got no problem with it.
Yep.
I mean, the grand scheme of things, 25 is probably fair. Yeah, because I'd have him higher maybe, but I think for him 25 is fair.
Okay. Kara's one, the legend.
Should be higher. Kara's got me in your top 10. Sorry.
Yeah, if anything, top 15.
Yeah,
you're gonna stretch it out.
Yeah,
he's probably the Triple H of this list.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
Curtis Blow, the another legend.
See, all right, so Curtis gets a lot of points for being a pioneer.
Yep.
And you should not discount that. I think he belongs in the top 50 for being one of those pioneers. 23 I think is high because his actual run was as a top guy, star or whatever. Now in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't very long. It was early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
He had a few hits, yes. But there are people with far bigger and better careers. I would have him again. He's the guy probably put in the 40s. Belongs there because of what he did at the beginning of it all.
Yeah,
but there are people. But yeah, they're people who are kind of just have had bigger, better careers, and
they definitely baked that into the rankings because I'm with you. He would be mostly in terms of just the overall catalog and everything he's done. He should be in the 40-ish area, but recognizing that he is one of the pioneers, they said, so I'm with you on that one. 22, Ghostface Killer.
Man, I love Ghostface.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, right. But it's kind of one of those things. See, 22 is so high. It's like to have him that high where you're now moving like real Hall of Famers out of the way. I would probably have him in the 30s. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Last one here, DMX, Earl Simmons, who's passed away a few years ago. So go ahead, and I'll add my thoughts on that.
I mean, we're talking about just like skills. I've put him on the list. I'd probably put him in the 40s, but
the 40s, really?
Well, but in the whole package, just like you had to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy brought some fucking energy. Okay. Mm-hmm. You had to be there to understand DMX. All right. So it's from that standpoint, it's hard to really explain to somebody today. So if we're talking just as a presence, as a thing, DMX at 21, I think is fair. But you had to be there to really understand. And if you got DMX in your top 10, I'm not gonna fight you over it. Because you had to be there.
Yeah.
DMX was an experience. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You had to be there to get it. Like,
I'm with you.
like you can't you can't just put on one of his songs now and say and judge it up, thumbs up or thumbs down. Like you had to be there, okay, when he got on the stage, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, you really had to be there to understand.
So I have no problem them putting DMX 21, but personally, I would put him at least in the teens. Let me tell you why. Because when you look at mainstream success and mainstream popularity, there are very few guys that have actually attained that kind of mainstream, beyond just the hip hop grounds, like going into like people who don't even listen to hip hop on a regular basis know who he is. Drake crossed those lines. Eminem, guys of that nature. Drake, DMX was upon a time was in that same conversation too.
And to be as hardcore as he was, and
yes,
to do that, like he was not a family friendly rapper by
any
means.
And by no means. So, so I have a problem with 21, but I would have liked to see him in the teens because of that mainstream success he had for those couple of years. I remember when he passed away on this podcast. I remember doing a whole segment on this, saying that there was a time in '98 when we lost Biggie and we lost Tupac. There was an open space. So who's the next guys or next guys? Hey. And DMX filled that void for a couple of years before Jay-Z became Jay-Z.
Yeah,
DMX was that guy. Actually, was one of those guys.
And listen, the most listened to episode of my podcast, was after DMX died. I did the whole thing about DMX, and I played. I put in some clips of DMX songs and all of that stuff. That is to this day the most listened to episode of.
There you go.
So, but like you said, you had to be there.
Yes.
Like for wrestling fans, like you had to be there in 1985 to understand the Road Warriors.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so you had to be there to understand DMX. And so, I mean, and again, he's another one of those guys where you can just say, today it's DMX day today. Not listening to anything else.
Yep.
Like he's one of those people. And I mean, today, shoot, look, man, he can get you ready to run through a wall right now. You turn that. I mean,
right.
I mean, if you have to go do some physical activity and you need to get fired up and to go do it, that's some shit you put on, man. And you'll be ready. Yeah, like you'll be ready to run through a wall. Today.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, next 10 here. 20 to 11. Here we go. 20, Big Daddy Kane. 19, Missy Elliott. 18, Ice Cube. 17, 50 Cent. 16, Scarface. 15, J. Cole. 14, LL Cool J. 13, Rakim. 12, Andre 3000. And 11, Kanye West. All right. I got a lot of shit to say on this one, but I'll let you go first. What stands out for you first?
All right. Kane at 20, ultimately, again, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's fair.
Right, I'm with you.
I mean, I would probably put him higher, but like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it's fair. Missy, I think, is fair also.
More or less, yeah. I mean, if he went a little higher, it would bother me.
Yeah.
But no lower than 20.
Yeah. Ice Cube, too low. Ice Cube, again, if you're talking greatest West Coast rapper ever, Ice Cube's in conversation.
Okay.
And Ice Cube got out there as far as reach beyond his area also. Right? I mean, he wasn't like, no, we said about like 40 and Too Short that they were like, they're Oakland, San Francisco guys. I mean, Ice Cube was not just the LA rapper. Ice Cube got out, and Ice Cube was huge in the mid to late 90s. And considering, I mean, Ice Cube is, he was just one of the best deliveries. He, all the NWA stuff that was actually good, he wrote it.
Yeah.
I mean, and then just the number of hits, and I think Ice Cube should be higher than 18. 50 Cent was, I was starting to kind of slide out when
Likewise.
50
2003.
Yeah, when 50 really blew up. But I recognize how successful he was. I think 17 is fair.
I don't know, that one feels kind of high for me a little bit.
He's not 17 for me. I'd have him lower. But
like I'm okay with being top 25. We care about that. But I would rather Missy be ahead of ahead of 50 Cent before, me personally. Like I think,
yeah, same here. I'd have Missy. I would have Missy, and ahead of 50 Cent, absolutely.
But I will say like that first album was huge, and I think a lot of why he's there is weighted in that first album, that birthday song, 22.
Yeah,
that was humongous. I mean, again, we talk about DMX getting mainstream success for a couple of years. 50 Cent was kind of that same. He still, in some ways, still is mainstream, especially with him doing directing and TV now, especially.
Yeah,
that's kind of weighted in there as well too.
Scarface way too high. I think Scarface is great, but for me, I'm not putting him ahead of Kane. Not putting him ahead of Ice Cube. Chuck, no, there are way too many people ahead of him. I mean, way too many people behind him. For me, he should be on the list. I'd probably have him down in the 40s.
Really? Oh wow.
Well, it's just, I mean,
so he's like, so Scarface is one of those guys. Is kind of like not underground, but hardcore hip hop guys are gonna vouch for this placing, and probably say even a little higher.
Yeah, it's just for me, 16 is high.
I can see that. To me, he's probably in the 20s, if anything. Just based on the legacy of him as a quote unquote underground kind of not quite the mainstream guy, but he gets his flowers, obviously.
J. Cole, get the hell out of here.
What's wrong with J. Cole, man?
I've only heard a couple of songs of his, but 15
feels high.
15
feels high. No, I like J. Cole a lot, actually. He's one of the few guys I still listen to today that is impressive, but 15 is way too high. Like I can find you 5 guys right now on this list that should be ahead of him. I can find you 2 ladies.
Yeah,
should be ahead of him.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that one. 14, Cool J.
Too damn low.
This is we're talking about when we're talking about like
egregiously low.
Mount Rushmores, and we're talking about like literal like legacy and pillars of this genre. He's in that conversation.
Yeah, and to this day, look, he's in greatest rapper of all time conversation today.
Yes, he is.
All right, to have him at 14 is egregious. It is egregiously low. That is ridiculous. I'm sorry. If he should be at least in your top 5.
This is arguably probably the one that's the lowest of all. And it's on the entire list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. And just no.
Yeah,
entirely way too low. I'm sorry.
Right. All right. Rakim at 13.
See, Rakim is one of those people. All right, Rakim, like so many people, change the way they rap or pattern themselves after hearing him. But a lot of people were a lot more successful than him. So I'd say 13 is probably fair. If you're balancing skills versus career, I think 13 is probably fair.
Right. All right. Andre 2000, one half of Outkast.
And I know people, and like there are people who have him as their number one. He's great. I love what he does.
Very creative too.
They're people I like better. And I think, but 12, I got no problem with him being 12.
Yeah, in fact, there was lists done in recent years that had him in top 10. A lot of people have him in top 10 in recent years, and maybe that's adjusted now since then, because of more people coming to the game and having an impact in the last decade or so. And yeah, 12 was about right for me. I'm not mad about it. Like I would have put him in my 15 definitely. So
yeah.
Last one. This is obviously controversial. Kanye West.
Look, if Dre don't belong on the list, Kanye don't belong on the list either. Hell no.
So Kanye's a rapper though, has more impact than Dre though. Wait.
Yeah, but I think. I mean, okay, fine. I mean, he's had. Yeah, I mean, you got to look at his career success. You can't discount that. But 11.
So he's too high.
Way too high. Yeah.
So I actually, if we're talking just him as the artist, I would say maybe a little too high. Maybe it's probably in the ballpark. But again, he falls into this whole thing that we saw with DMX and those guys, like mainstream success. forget all the political stuff with him. Kanye West is arguably one of the most mainstream rappers in history of the genre.
Yeah,
so it's probably why he is where he is. And honestly, some people make a case that he probably should be higher.
Yeah, I just personally, I mean, it's I'm willing to say that. Look, I'm willing to say it's just a personal thing. Even just, I
get it.
Yeah,
but if you combine the two, though, him as a producer as well, too, on top of him being an artist, I mean,
he's top 5 producer. Yeah,
top 5. He's probably the thing is, if I'm not sure if they even bake this into the rankings, but if you're talking about Kanye producer and artist all time, he's probably in the top 7 5 to 7 artists on this list.
Yeah, but to me, if you're gonna combine producing and rapping, then Eric Sermon should be on this list.
No, that's a good point. But
if we're just talking about rapping, Eric Sermon should be nowhere near this list. Okay.
I wish I knew what the stipulations were when they made this list, though. But hey, it's not my list. I'm just reacting to it. All right, finally, top 10. Here we go. Number 10, Nicki Minaj. Number 9, Snoop Dogg. Number 8, Drake. 7, Lil Wayne. 6, Biggie Smalls. 5, Eminem. 4, Tupac. 3, Nas. 2, Kendrick Lamar. And number 1, Jay-Z. All right.
Boy.
This is gonna get wild, I think, you and I. Because I love Kendrick Lamar. He is way too high right now.
Way too high.
By the way, I have no problem being in the top 10. I'm okay with it. But number 2?
2 is doing way. No, hell no. I mean, hell no. 2,
right.
No.
Let's break it down first, 10 to 1. Okay, Nicki Minaj, number 10. She's obviously the highest rated, the highest rapper on this list.
Too high.
Way too high.
Way too high.
Now, you were saying something about Busta real quick, being one of the best guest rappers on any song. Nicki Minaj actually has the top price on the female side.
I'll give you that. I can't see how you, but having her, I'm sorry, to me, if you're talking about best ever, to me, it's the best at just straight up rapping for me was MC Lyte or Latifah, one or the other. As far as an artist, I mean, Latifah had probably Latifah had a better career than MC Lyte for sure. And at one point, Latifah was reaching out there also, like in the mid to late 90s, as far as reaching beyond the hip hop bubble, as far as success and all of that. I can't put Nicki Minaj. She should not be this high. She should not. I mean, she should not be the highest, ranked woman rapper ever. Hell no, just no. All
right, Snoop Dogg, number 9.
I mean, look, you can put him top 5, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think him being number 9. I mean, it is. When we get this high, it is kind of a numbers game where people just get pushed out unfairly. I think if you look at the entirety of his career, I mean, his career, he's still a relevant artist today, having started in 1992.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So we're talking almost, we're talking 30 years, 30 years as a relevant artist. So, as a relevant rapper, I should say, not just because, like, I mean, LL is a relevant entertainer, but I mean, he hasn't put out an album in forever. Like, right. Snoop has been a relevant musician for 30 years. So I think it's fair. I think him being higher, I think I would probably have him higher. I'm not going to scream and holler about him being number 9, because now we're at a point where you are pushing really great people out or down.
And the reason why I agree with you with that. The reason why I say number 9 is perfect for him, though, because like there was never a time in his 30 years he was considered the number 1 rapper. The guys ahead of him on this list, though, had times when they were considered number 1 rapper for a year or 2, maybe 3. You know what I mean? Yeah. Snoop Dogg was kind of like, how you say, like Tim Duncan or Randy Orton, kind of stable, steady.
Yeah, and then
steady.
Yeah.
He's definitely top 10 material.
Yeah.
Deserves to be top 10 based on relevancy alone.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I'm going to shock you with this one, number 8 with Drake. Drake is number 8. I'm not even a fan of Drake, and he feels low.
So to me, he's high. I can't deny his success as an artist. Can't deny how big of a cultural figure he's become in the past 10 years or 15 years.
Right.
If you want to, if you're looking at that stuff also, then okay, fine. But to me, there are way more than 8 rappers who are better than him.
I think skill-wise, yes, but impact though. You're talking about now a near 15-year career of being in this game and mainstream, and one can argue that for the last 10, 15 years, he's been the biggest name in the genre,
and that's true. So I get it doesn't sit right with me.
No. Again, I'm not a fan of his.
Yeah,
but I recognize the impact. His songs still trickle down to me, even though I don't listen to his music. I'll still hear a couple songs here and there, Hotline Bling and this and that, and
true.
It trickles down, man. It is what it is, man. I don't like it, but hey, it is what it is. So that's why I give him his props. I look. I'm not saying he should be number 8. He should be lower number 8 right now. But if you want to say he should be higher than 8, I ain't arguing with that one. All right, this one's complicated for me. Number 7, Lil Wayne.
Okay, and Wayne blew up as I was kind of fading out.
Likewise.
So, but I know but I know enough people who will tell you he's the best ever, and I'd say 7 is probably fair, but he could be higher, and I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah. You're not in the same boat. Like when he really got big in the 2000s, I already started to dip out of the that genre a little bit. Excuse me, a little bit. But look, it's complicated for me because I'm not a fan of the guy personally, but the guy is talented as hell.
Yeah.
All right, and you can't deny that. I'll say this much: he's definitely in top 10. Let's be real.
Yeah,
all the Carters are fantastic albums. All the Carters. But and he's one of those guys that we talk about, like when I was saying earlier about like how like all the guys ahead of Snoop Dogg have all been considered best in their genre at some point in their career. Lil Wayne for a good while in the 2000s was considered the best rapper in the game.
Yeah.
And after Jay-Z's started to slip a little bit in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne kind of filled that gap a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's why I had the problem with Wayne being number 7. All right, number 6, Biggie Smalls. Impact. I feel like if he had a bigger catalog, he'd be higher on this list.
Yeah, and my thing is, because I once equated him to Kurt Cobain, and I got buried for that once. Okay.
I don't know why. It makes sense though. Kurt Cobain, Nirvana lasted 5 years. What are we talking about?
And Nirvana had the work that they did was really great,
and they stopped.
And it's right. And
it's like the Beatles, 7 years and they stopped.
Yeah, and it's just and I think if he did 2 albums and then quit rapping and went into acting, right, I don't think we would have him this high.
For Biggie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's this high because of the way it ended.
And the impact.
So yeah, and so should he be top 50? Absolutely. In the grand scheme of things, would I have him top 25? Yes. But number 6 still to me feels like it's because of how it ended.
It's almost like him being martyred.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I
see a point.
And then also that, because of who he worked for, they, Puffy and all of them, they continue just to hype him up for years and years and years after he passed away. If he had worked for a more low-key record company that didn't do that,
yeah,
I don't think we're having him this high.
No, I'm with you on that. The thing is that Ready to Die album is one of the holy grails of hip hop.
Yes, yeah,
and absolutely. that alone, you bake that in already. The 2 albums he did are baked in some of the greatest hip hop albums of all time.
Yeah,
so that bakes it in, and his talent can be he was just so fucking talented, but he was so good what he did. I mean, on one hand, it feels low. It should be top 5. But on another hand, longevity should matter to some degree.
Yeah.
And this is where you get into the top 5 discussion with these guys here. Although there's one guy here that maybe a little too high.
Well, like Bill Walton. All right, when Bill Walton, before the injuries happened, people will tell you that Bill Walton was like the best center in basketball and all types of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you only know Bill Walton from when he was the 6th man on the Celtics, you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Exactly.
And so to me, Biggie is kind of similar in that if somebody listened to him the first time today and then they saw him at number 6, they'd be like, well, why is he number 6? But if you were there when he was there,
yeah,
then you would have a much higher opinion of him. But in the grand, again, we're talking about the grand scheme of things. I understand why he's number 6. I'm not going to argue with that, but I think objectively speaking, 6 is probably conditional on what happened.
Right. All right. 5 Eminem. I'll be honest with you, this feels low.
Yeah, and see, Eminem's one of those people like people tell you Eminem stinks, Eminem sucks, and then when you sit down and actually listen to him, you're like, well, damn,
he sucks. Who says that shit? I mean, what are you listening to?
Well, I mean, people don't like him, right? And
we're not having a conversation about whether you like the guy now. We have a conversation about, not saying you, but we're having a conversation about he's good at what he does.
Yeah, and what now? Even and look, now his material hasn't aged very well.
well, yeah, of course.
His subject matter has aged horribly.
Yes,
and we hear that. But another thing I really like about him, if you sit down and listen to him talk about shit, that man is a rap encyclopedia.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's like Jack White, right?
Yeah.
I've listened to interviews with Jack White. Jack White will tell you the entire history of blues music in America. And he will throw out names that you have never heard of. Like people he starts throwing out names like, I've never heard of that guy. Who the hell is this? And he'll put on a song from that guy, and you'd be like, well, damn. Right? I mean, and that's how Eminem is. Because there's like this clip going around him talking with the DOC and just running through stuff and running through history. And I mean, Eminem is a hip hop history encyclopedia.
Mm-hmm.
He is really damn good when he's not veering off into rapping about weird shit. Then he is, he's top 5 absolutely. And I think there's some backlash because I'll be real, his success was built on the back of white people buying his records. And there's a certain degree of, kind of, we don't like that too much, right? I mean, right. With him,
we talk about guys going mainstream. He might be the most mainstream of all on this entire list in terms of his material getting out to the public.
Yeah, and he's another one like around 2000-ish. You had to be there. You had to be there around 2000 to really get it.
He owned radio for a good, and he was probably the top guy for a couple of years too. Also,
yeah.
Let's be real about that. All right, and I think he should be higher than 2 of the guys on this list in the top 5. He should be higher than this guy, number 1, who I love, but let's be real. Tupac, number 4. Same with Biggie.
Oh man,
she's too high.
Yeah, and now Tupac put out more stuff.
Agreed. Yep. But kind of argue the stuff he put out with Biggie stuff was a little more impactful to the genre than Tupac's, or
yeah, and I think with Tupac there was a lot of the stuff he put out was, man. I mean, like he put out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the best of it is as good as anybody's, but there's also a lot of,
yeah.
Also, but I do think he also gets points for how it ended.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he gets points for being such a great actor also.
Yeah, that's baked in too. I would say name value is probably bigger than Biggie overall.
Yeah.
Because he did more.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about hip hop, his albums were, in my opinion, more impactful than Tupac's albums.
Yeah. But then Tupac is also one of those guys that when he's really dialed in, like when you hear his absolute best stuff, it is just as good as anybody, like when the first song I heard him on was the same song by Digital Underground. He was in there for like one verse.
Yeah.
And that one verse, basically you can hear him on that one verse, you're like, shit. Like, right? Just, and then you knew hearing him on that one guest verse that, okay, this guy's going to be something here.
Yeah. All right. Number 3, Nas.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to say something quick. I love Nas.
Yes.
He should be a top 10. Without question.
Yes.
Just like Tupac.
Yes.
But it feels kind of high because of the lack of commercial success he had in comparison to the guys in this ilk.
Yeah.
Like, I will take Nas over Drake any day of the week.
Yes.
But Drake probably should be higher than Nas because the impact. It sounds weird saying that, but
all right. Nas and Dominique Wilkins. Highlight reel.
Ooh, really? Dominique, huh?
Here's the thing. All right. All the dunks, scored all the points.
Ether.
Never got to the second round of playoffs. At least I don't think.
Wow, Nas. So Nas is Neek, huh? Damn.
Well, like if you watch Dominique Wilkins play, right, compared to the people, compared to any era, if you watch him play, watch his highlights and watch him play, you'd be like, and if somebody asks you, is this the best guy ever? In the moment, you might say, yeah. Like if you're just watching him. But then, you look at the bigger.
Yeah.
If you look, so if you're listening to Nas and you're listening to Nas's best stuff and you're just listening to that for a while, and if somebody asks you, was this the best guy you ever heard? You might say, yeah, in the moment. Right. But when you kind of pull things back and start comparing them to other people and then,
because I hate saying this too, Rob, but like, and I know people who listen to this podcast later on who are, grounded, soiled hip hop fans going to say, what the fuck are you saying? But commercial success does matter. When you're doing lists like these, commercials actually matters because that tells you the impact. How wide is the thing going?
Yeah.
And
yeah. And he had a few moments where he was almost there.
Yeah.
But that's why I said Dominique. Dominique, I think he got to the 7th game of the second round of playoffs against the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
And he scored a shit ton of points in that game, but it just wasn't enough because they had Bird, McHale, and Parrish on the other team. And, to me, that's just kind of what it is. Yeah.
He's definitely top 10.
Yeah.
Because he's that damn good.
Yeah.
But commercial success has to matter here too also.
Yeah.
Because these lists exist because of that.
Yeah.
So, number 2, Kendrick Lamar.
Hell no.
Way too high. Top 10? I'll give you the top 10, but way too high.
I haven't listened enough to him to develop that much of it. I've listened to him a little bit, and he is outstanding. I haven't listened to enough where I would put him on the list. I'd have him way lower than most people, and I'll eat that, and accept that, and I'll accept all the dirty looks and whatever that people are willing to give me over not having him particularly high. It's just again, where
would you place him?
Just for me, for people I've listened to just over my life, I'd probably have him in the 40s, and I know that's gonna get me killed. I know, but
wait, wow.
I will.
You put your name on it though.
But look, I'll stand in the ring like the NWO, and you can throw all the trash at me, okay? And I'll, and okay, and I'll just take it. All right,
That's great. All right, number 1 is Jay-Z. I'm not gonna lie. I know why he's here. I get it. I won't argue against it. He's on my number 1 list. He's in my top 5, but he's not my number 1. But I get it.
I'll say I understand because, like, if you were to take a survey of every generation of fans, and then you gave everybody points, and then you added up all the points, he would probably be first because he has legit big fans across every different generation of fans.
Right.
So there are people. I'm 48. There are people my age who are big Jay-Z fans. There are people in their 30s who are big Jay-Z fans. There are people in their 20s who are big Jay-Z fans. He might be the only one who legit has big fans in every age group. So while none of us may put him number one, he would get enough points from all of us where he would probably finish with more points than everybody else if they were doing like a survey or something.
Because I would put Eminem ahead of Jay-Z personally as a rapper, actual rapper.
I probably would too.
But the thing is, Jay-Z's impact goes beyond just the lyrical content and the skills. It goes beyond. It goes to business. It goes to just the culture itself, expanding on that. And one could argue we are where we are now largely because of Jay-Z too. Also, I'm not hating on Jay-Z at all. I like Jay-Z a lot.
Yeah.
I do think there is an element of people that do overrate him, though. I will say that he's not. I'm not saying he's overrated. I'm saying that there are people out there who do overrate him, though, to some degree.
Yeah, but I also think there are people who like do the opposite. Also, I think he gets it on both ends. I think there are people who tear him down way too much. Also, but I think he's a safe consensus pick.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's the way I look at it. Now, there is one name that is not on this list that just.
We mentioned one guy, Eric Sherman, obviously was one guy.
But this guy who's not on this list, I feel the same way you did about Celine Dion.
Who's that?
Will Smith. Why is he not in the top 50? He's not in the top 50.
Put him in 50 then. If we want to do,
he's not in the top 50.
That makes no sense. I'm with you.
He's not in the top 50.
Impact alone should give him in there.
And in fact, he can rap his ass off.
And that's the thing too.
People dog him because he did pop music.
Doesn't matter. Mainstream.
That man can rap his ass off. He can rap as good as anybody who has ever done it. Okay, he can. He has done it. Okay, just because he chose to do pop music, and he had
cater to a pop audience rather.
Yeah, just okay, fine. But he had commercial success. He was a big deal. He can rap his ass off. He can rap as good as anybody who has ever done it. And for him to not be in the top 50.
That's a great point, man.
For him to not be in the top 50 is no. I'm sorry. I don't know where you put him. But I mean, if we're going to put Drake at number 8 for commercial success, then Will Smith should be top 25. All right. I mean, if we're going to put Kanye at 11 because of commercial success and this, that, and the other, then Will Smith should be top 25. There's no way he is not top 50. That is nonsense. Okay, it just is.
No, I agree. Things I didn't think about it too, but when you start looking back and being in the moment to late 90s, but late 90s, even the stuff with Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, and so he started like mid to late 80s is when he first started.
So he has the legs. He has the 15+ year career of doing that before going to movies.
Yeah, and I mean, again, he had the commercial success. He crossed over. He won.
As we said, that matters on this list, though. That matters,
right? Because I mean, he was the first rapper to win a Grammy Award.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not have him in top 50?
No, that makes sense. Look, if we don't put him at 50, fine, but get him in there somehow.
He should be on the list. I mean, and again, he can rap his ass off.
Where would you put him though? If he had put him there, I put him in the 20s though, most likely. But
at 20s, yeah, top 25. Yeah, I think that's about right. I mean,
impact, commercial success. I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, and like the only reason he didn't have a longer kind of relevant music career is because he stopped doing it. I mean, it wasn't like he didn't get to the point where he got like fell off and got just kind of kicked to the curb. He stopped.
Yeah, because he did other things. He got busy. Movies. Big movies, in fact. That is any
right.
Big
I mean, like he stopped.
And the TV also on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, so.
And that should matter too, also, because if we're gonna give Jay-Z credit for, for being the businessman and this and that, shouldn't also you do movies? And because I feel like Tupac is up that high largely because of that same reason. Well, Will Smith has that in spades.
Yeah,
he has one of the greatest sitcoms in the history of television. Okay, under his belt, he's had a really solid career as a hip hop artist. Like he was so good on screen, we forget how good he was actually as a rapper.
Right,
exactly. That's how good he was.
Yeah, exactly. And so to not have him top 20, for him not being in the top 50 is just
it's ludicrous.
Yes.
I agree. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that actually. Anybody else on this list that didn't make it that we probably should have made it? No one else really stands out to me, really, honestly. I mean, Big Boy Outcast, nah, I mean, he's okay. He's good with the group, but not really so much a solo guy. Anybody else?
Okay. I wouldn't argue. If they put Bismarck here on there, I wouldn't argue.
Yes.
Yeah. I think he's probably in the 40s, but
definitely low end.
Who else is missing from
Eric B?
Yeah, he was just a kind of DJ though. Oh,
was he a DJ? Okay.
Yeah. Now for me, if I'm making a favorites list, CL Smooth and Pete Rock and CL Smooth would be on there. But they didn't have much commercial success,
right?
And
that matters this list, yeah.
Yeah, so I get him not being there, but I mean he's one of my favorites. Another one. Let's see. Because I can name people just from when I was a teenager and in my 20s.
Yeah,
they're not here, but Heavy D.
Oh my God, yes.
And honestly, look, I make a case for him. He should be here now anyway.
Yeah,
I think
that's a good one.
I think he's top 50. Yeah, I mean, and
was for a good while mainstream and very big mainstream.
Yeah, and I mean, look, he was in the song Janet Jackson. I mean, when Janet Jackson was like
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, so yeah, he was. I mean, again, if you weren't there, then you won't get it. But I mean, no, Heavy D was one of the. Yeah, I think
easily underrated.
Yes, absolutely. And again, unfortunately, he passed away way too early.
Yeah.
But he also went in that. He also went into the acting also, and he just kind of stopped making music. So. But he's definitely one. I guess Salt and Pepper as a group, but they don't have groups here.
I don't see any groups here. So
yeah, individually, neither one of them top 50.
No.
But if you were making a list, if you were including groups, then yeah. But other than that, I mean, I think other than Will Smith not being on the list at all, I think the list, the 50 people they picked, I think are fine. The order is just, my order would be drastically different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a good hour of this segment. I like it.
Yeah.
Quick couple things to touch on before we get out of here. How are you enjoying the Wrestlemania build-up so far?
So far so good. We got. Now, now those of us who have been watching this stuff forever, I'll admit, like, it is kind of a slog now, getting from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania.
Even with Chamber in the middle?
To me, Chamber was too early. It wasn't even a month later after the Rumble. So, if I was doing this, I would move Chamber back a couple of weeks, and then because when you have
at least a week. At least a week. I agree with you. At least a week.
Yeah, because having this long of a build for what is essentially one match, for each feud, I mean, there's only so much you can do.
Right.
And there's only so many promos you can cut. There's only so many times you can have them get into a fight or somebody jump somebody. Which, I mean, it is better off now. Okay, I think it's better that they basically kind of postponed building a lot of this stuff, until more recently, even when the matches were set.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's because, to me, the worst ever was Sasha and Bianca when they went through 2.5 months of them just doing all types of convoluted shit.
That sucked.
I think to me that was because, and then when they finally had Sasha quote unquote turn, it wasn't really even that convincing. I mean, to me that was in. So starting from immediately after Royal Rumble and trying to do a 2.5 month build to April is a really long slog, even if you do no matter how good of a job you do at it. And so to me, it just kind of is. And so, I mean, I think so far they're doing fine. If I was 28 or if I was 24 instead of 48, I'd probably be more excited. But I've been watching this year after year after year, and this long road is, it is a bit, it can be a bit much. And it's just so much, because like even with Cody, right? We had a post Rumble promo, and then we've had like 3 or 4 of these promos from Cody, and they've all been really good stuff. But now we're into like week 5 or 6 of it, right? And it's just kind of like, okay. And so I think it's good that he and Roman are going to meet face to face tomorrow. But again, it's good that they hold this stuff off, because
we haven't got anything on Cody and Roman up to this point either. I mean, other than Heyman and Cody doing that little thing a couple weeks ago,
right? So they're going to.
It's very, very light.
Yeah, so they're going to do. So actually, they're supposed to have their first kind of link up tomorrow.
Yeah, on SmackDown.
Yeah. So I think it's good that they waited. I think it's good that they waited for Charlotte and Rhea until last week to start that. Mm-hmm. I think. I think it's better to wait, because 4, 5, 6 weeks of this, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
And because honestly, like I don't see what they're going to do with Asuka and Bianca. Like, what are they going to do? Like, they don't have a history of beef.
Yeah, it's 2 baby faces right now, right? I mean, Asuka's still face, right?
Well, sort of. She's acting heelish in some kind of ways, but
harder could be convinced though. She's too adorable to be a heel.
Yeah,
I love her so much though.
Yeah, and then so I mean, they got another. I mean, like, what exactly are they going to do in 5 weeks? For this to be like an animosity kind of thing.
I don't think no one doubts it'd be a great match. It's just a buildup. It's gonna be like, okay, well, I mean,
because with Asuka, the best, like, okay, when Asuka won the Royal Rumble, when she won it, what they did that year was perfect, because their last pay-per-view was only a few weeks before WrestleMania.
2018, you're talking about, right?
Yeah, 2018. So
right.
Their last pay-per-view was only a few weeks before WrestleMania. So they just she was on Monday Night Raw, and they just had her just keep, doing stuff on Raw as if, that's what she was going to do. And then the last pay-per-view was a SmackDown pay-per-view back when they started the split man pay-per-view. So Charlotte finishes the match, and then Asuka's music hit, and she just comes out there and, squares up and then points at the sign. And with 3 weeks left, that was perfect. Right. And then, and another thing, unfortunately, with Asuka, yes, there's the language thing, right? So now, 5 or 6 weeks of them doing promos on each other. And then, and of course, then again, and with them not having any real animosity baked in to start with, I think that's going to be a little tough. I think it just is. So yeah, I mean, I would personally, I'd love to fast forward a few weeks and to where we're in like a week or 2 before the show, and then we can just get to it.
Yeah,
but so This is
also why I don't watch. This is also why I don't watch it week to week like I used to anymore. I go on YouTube and see what I need to see, and that's it. I'm good.
And honestly, that's, I mean, because I kind of recommend it, because again, like I said, when we've been doing this for so long, that now watching every part of every show every week is just it's too much. And because like I tell people now, like, look, I said, don't struggle watch this stuff. There's way too much of it. Get the parts that you either you feel like you need to get, or the parts that you really want to see, and feel free to just not worry about the rest. But again, like the show itself, I think is going to be great. So that's really what matters ultimately. But we got like 5 more weeks.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a slog. I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about trying to watch all this stuff. Anybody out there, just
go on YouTube, check it out, see what comes interesting. I mean, also got. I mean, the other thing that stood out really this week was I saw that they officially announced Lesnar and Omos. A lot of people are like in their feelings about that. But I gotta be honest with you, if Lesnar wouldn't have signed up on this if he didn't think he can pull this off with Omos. So I'm actually intrigued by that.
Yeah, like we talked about this week actually. Well, when the episode is up, you guys will be able to hear it. But we talked about a good bit this week. And look, it's King Kong versus Godzilla. It's two big guys throwing each other around. It's
big meaty man type of meat.
Yeah, and look, that's what the wrestling business is built on. And like all these other kinds of matches that you might enjoy are all built on the backs of, Hogan and Andre, Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, stuff like that. The Road Warriors against, whoever, right? I mean, it's all these other kinds of matches are built on the backs of stuff like that. It's built on, Bruno Sammartino, doing the same type of thing back in the 60s.
Yeah.
So that's what it's built on. That's what the business is built on. And you may not like that kind of stuff now. If you don't like that kind of stuff, this match ain't gonna be 10 minutes.
Yeah, even you hit it pretty quickly.
Yeah. So, but without matches like this, then you don't get your. There's no business to have your 45-minute work rate matches if you don't have matches like this.
Right.
Because matches like this are what people are. They're the ones that attract the most eyeballs.
And it seems like we're going Bray and Bobby very soon too, huh?
I'm out on Bray. I'm sorry, I can't with this. This is.
You want to talk about a slog? This whole thing's been a slog since returned.
I mean, and it's just. I mean, it's and I took a big dump on it this week. It's not for me. I'm not here for this Uncle Howdy stuff. I don't know what the hell's going on. I got nothing. I can't. And
waiting for the payoff. Still haven't gotten paid off yet.
And it feels like
maybe Mania will be. We'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I mean, to me, like, God bless LA Knight. He made it through. I mean,
no, and he
survived. It's just, but yeah, I just, what, I can't. I'm sorry. And I feel sorry for Bobby getting stuck with this because, I mean, yeah.
Your Commanders, Washington Commanders. Lots going on there. They cut Carson Wentz a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Which, I told you everybody I've been one of the biggest Wentz defenders last couple of years. I'm out on Wentz now.
Officially. He's cooked. Yeah, he's cooked.
He's cooked.
Yeah.
There's also Eric Bieniemy now is a new assistant head coach.
Yeah.
/ offensive coordinator. More stuff on the Daniel Snyder end in terms of basically owners have pissed him again and they try to push him out. I mean, look, let me ask you this. Next year, this time, March 2024, is Daniel Snyder the owner of this team?
I say no because the other owners, they're going to start dialing it up on him. Yep. If he won't leave, they're going to dial it up on him, and it's because these accusations being made against him, like basically he was like using the team, it was like basically like stealing money. It sounds like, I mean,
like a piggy bank.
Yeah, and and the fact that they said the team has a cash flow problem. How do you own an NFL team and have a cash flow problem
in the NFL?
How do you own an NFL team and have a cash flow problem?
That makes no sense.
I mean, NFL team is like an ATM. It's like a never-ending ATM.
Yeah.
You should not have a cash flow problem if you own an NFL team. And then that's not. We're not even getting to the fact that they were running a whole sexual harassment den for like 10 years. I mean, it was damn near a brothel they were running. I mean, with the cheerleading squad there. So he should be out of there. He should consider himself fortunate because he's going to get, $6 or $7 billion for something that he absolutely ran into the ground for almost 30 years. And when you consider that he bought the thing pretty much on credit and he had very little money coming in, it's just, he had it in the right places. And it was, he made his money he made in the tech bubble. And like, if you know anything about his history, basically he tried a bunch of things that failed and something finally hit. And he got enough money from that to buy the team. But even then it was like pretty leveraged, but it's just that the other guy who wanted to buy it was even more leveraged. So, and so he's never he's not rich outside of the team. right? I mean, and I get, so he was never like any super rich guy. Like he hit it really quick in the tech bubble, and he basically parlayed that into buying the team, and the team has been his ATM ever since. But he has a cash flow problem, which is crazy. And he's when you factor in the off the field stuff, he's the worst owner in sports.
Oh, well, question. Yes.
Like there are owners who have not succeeded as far as winning and losing, but are not like bad people or whatever. I mean, when you add up everything, it is the worst. He is the worst owner, period. And I would be so glad when he's gone. And I mean, he occasionally makes a good decision, but then he almost shoots himself in the foot not long after. And yeah, just the faster they can get him out, the better. Just please get him the hell out of here.
And I think it will happen. I think one reason why Bieniemy actually signed there, I believe that he believes that things would be, better there in a year from now. Like I asked you earlier about, sniping the owner this time next year. Do you think Bieniemy had to coach this team at this time next year?
Well, okay, so Rivera has one more year left on his contract.
Yeah. After this year, or is
this coming season is the last year on his contract.
And no extension so far.
Yeah. So I think honestly, I think he will be the head coach going in, not this coming season, but the one after. Because I think Rivera, I don't think they're going to extend him. I think overall, I think he did fine, right? I mean, some people really don't like him around here, but I think when you consider everything, I think he did fine. But I just also think that, after his contract is up, you should move on to the next person.
And I feel like also there's probably an underlying thing the ones mentioning. I'm not saying I know anything about this, but he's had some health scares recently.
And that's the other thing.
And I think what they're doing, I think he may not want to coach beyond this year. And maybe this is a nice segue. Let's bring Bieniemy in here now, lock him in. Rivera plays coaches last year. However well they do next year, see what happens there, and then he just goes say see ya, and maybe he's done coaching.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I think, put it this way, I don't think he would not have agreed to bring in somebody like Bieniemy and make him assistant head coach if he had designs on being coach long into the future.
Right.
You would not hire Bieniemy and you would not make him assistant head coach. You do that because you envision the guy taking over for you.
Right.
I think.
I'm with you. One last thing. Your New York Knicks.
Yes.
Are they back?
We'll see.
The 5 seed right now in the East. 5 seed currently.
I'm holding off to the playoffs before I dive in with both feet and watch them every night. We've had a lot of false alarms over the past.
Mixtape.
Even though that video of those people outside the stadium was just some of the just most hilarious things ever. Because there's one that's like on YouTube and you can just bring it up and it's just it's people going crazy and they start chanting "fuck Trae Young" and
yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'll start watching them every game again come playoffs. So I go back to the Patrick Ewing days, and those teams are just special, even though they didn't win the big one.
Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Jordan, and more than anything, it's so these guys right now are really good. They're doing really well, and so I'm hoping for the best. I think this is the best team that they've had. This is the best legit team they've had probably since Van Gundy was coaching.
Well, I would say the Carmelo years are pretty good too.
They were, yeah. It's just, it sucks because Carmelo got, he got the media was always dogging him and all this kind of stuff. It's just it took some of the fun out of it, really. But they did have some good teams when Carmelo was there.
No, I'm with you on that one. I don't know. I think they're dangerous. I do think they're still a one and done team in the playoffs because I don't think they're better than Cleveland or Boston or Milwaukee or who am I missing there? Milwaukee, Boston, Cleveland, Philadelphia. That's it. Another one.
Yeah. Yes, they're definitely not better than those Boston.
They're still a star away, but I will say they're making that ground more attractive for the next disgruntled star we see, that wants to leave their respective team, whoever it could be.
Yeah, and
New York is making the ground very nice. Outside the owner, of course, James Dolan's a piece of shit, but whatever.
Yeah, but see, I'm not falling for the banana and tailpipe because look, okay, LeBron was supposed to be coming to New York. Kevin Durant was supposed to be coming to New York.
Yeah,
right. Like whoever the disgruntled star of the moment is, they might be coming to New York. Now, I'm really thankful that Kyrie Irving did not come to New York.
Yes.
When he went to New Jersey, I was like, thank God you went to the other team. Okay. Yeah. And I'm sorry, Nets fans. I don't care what their record is. I don't care what the Knicks record is at the same time. The New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, I'm saying New Jersey Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are always going to be the other New York team.
I don't understand why. That's what I understand. Why that team moved to Brooklyn knowing that. I mean, I get it. They'll try to see if they can get to eat into that culture a little bit, but it's always gonna be a Knicks town, man.
Always
Knicks town. What are we doing here? Like, we know this already. I'm born in Brooklyn. I know this, and I haven't lived in New York in years, but even I know this. That's a Knicks time, baby. Come on.
Look. The Nets could win the championship.
Still Knicks time.
And the Knicks could be in the lottery, and we'll be. And the question will be, who are the Knicks going to take in the lottery? Okay, it won't be can the Nets repeat? It'll be who are the Knicks going to take in the draft? All right.
The only smart thing I'll say they did that the Clippers didn't do in LA. At least it's not LA, like at least not the New York Nets. It's at least the Brooklyn Nets. At least they have something that's differential from the Knicks a little bit. Whereas the Clippers have the LA Clippers and the LA Lake. Look, the Clippers should either get their own state, what they're trying to do. Number one, get their own stadium, their own arena rather, and their own identity. Like do the Anaheim Clippers or something like that, something of that nature. Don't share the same name to Lakers. Like how's that gonna? That's not gonna help you guys out.
No,
it's a Laker town. Same with the Knicks. It's a Knicks town.
Right, right, because you say LA basketball, Magic, Worthy, Kareem,
Kobe, Shaq, exactly.
It's not, Danny Manning.
No, it's not Danny Manning. No, it's not Gary Grant.
Right, it's not. Sorry,
no,
never will be.
No, exactly. So we'll call it there. Rob, plug away. Anyone to plug?
Yes. Okay. As always, Mindless Wrestling Podcast. We are. We're talking Wrestlemania stuff this week and all the types of stuff. And the guys got on me for being way too big a fan of The Fugitive.
The movie The Fugitive?
Oh, no, it's one of my favorite movies. And they gave me a hard time because I turned from watching NXT Tuesday to watch The Fugitive. And they gave me a bit of a hard time about that. But we had a nice little back and forth on that this week.
Oh, wow.
But that's every week.
But that's the thing, though. Let's do it quick. Is that even in a fucking pandemic, we couldn't get a break from wrestling. Sometimes it's okay to take a little break. We don't get time away from wrestling.
Yeah, and
we got to force that on ourselves sometimes to take a week off.
Right, and like NXT is fine, but look, I get more joy out of watching The Fugitive again. Right,
there you go.
So that's what you should do, people. I mean, seriously. Because look, you don't have to watch anything on TV. So. Right. When in doubt, pick the thing that, gives you the most joy. Okay.
Always. I'm the same way too.
But yeah, that's every week. And of course, they've got the Robert Genius podcast, which is when I managed to finish an episode. I got one I'm almost done with, but it probably won't be ready till next week. And then,
So do you enjoy doing that in blocks like that? Like you summon every other day?
Well, because I've run out. I haven't run out of stuff to talk about, but it's just that now, I've talked about almost everything that there is to talk about every week.
Yeah.
So now I just kind of let it simmer and say, okay, like, what do I feel like? What things do I feel like I have something to say about?
Because I feel like some of those segments could be its own episode itself.
Yeah. Yes, they could. And then so I kind of just sit back and say, okay, well, because I record stuff all the time.
Right.
But there are times where I'll be recording and I can see for myself that I'm just kind of rambling, and then I just say, okay, no, this is no good. And And then there are times where I'm like, okay, well, I'll be talking about something like, okay, you know what? I'm only talking about this because everybody seems to have an opinion on it today, but I don't really have an opinion on this. I'm just talking, right? And so if it's like that, then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to shut this down. But if I feel like when I feel like, okay, I have something to say here that hasn't already been said a million times, and it's something that I feel like I really want to say, then that's when I really get fired up and finish. And because there are things I just feel aren't getting talked about enough, or that aren't getting talked about a certain way. That's why I do a lot of politics stuff, because just the stuff.
I love it.
I mean, just like the stuff we see on Twitter is just, I mean, and look, I'm such a nerd about the things that I'm into that when I see people just getting basic facts wrong about this, that, and the other thing, I just it just drives me up a wall. And
yeah,
and this pertains particularly like to not even like people who, this pertains more even to people who are more on my side of the aisle. And it's like, come on, guys. I mean, you know, again, I just basic facts wrong about stuff. I just can't. So, and so I do get fired up to at least say, okay, no, this is what this is really is. This is what's really going on here. This is how this stuff really works. You know. So yeah, and now it's, you know, it's more like every 2 weeks now. Because I don't want to give people shit, right? I mean, to me, that's, I mean, well, I mean, like a bad product. I mean, I don't.
Oh, right. Oh, right. True.
Okay. I mean, I'd rather you wait. You know, I'd rather take an extra week to do something and feel good about it than to just put something out for the sake.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, I haven't had a guest in a while either, and it's you know, and then those are the easy to me. Those are the easiest ones to do, because you
really?
just hit record and you talk for 40 minutes or whatever, and then I mean, as long as you guys have something to talk about, right? If you have some stuff to talk about, and then you can get them talking, and you know, yeah, you can burn through 40-45 minutes, and then it, to me, it's easy. It is harder for me to just to actually stand and talk for 45 minutes about different things and not feel like I'm boring myself even. You know, and sometimes I recorded like about almost a half hour talking about you know, Zaya Wade, you know, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's child, right? And because, and I haven't published it yet, just kind of, but I got stuff I think needs to be said there. And again, because there's like basic ignorance. I mean, like I was in I'm in a Facebook group, and there people thought that they know that the Zaya had a sex change operation,
right?
And it's like, no, that's not what changing your gender is. Okay, like before we can have any type of conversation about, can you at least know what that is?
Yeah, get the basics right first and foremost.
Right, and then before you start going off and pontificating about this, that, and the other, can you at least get the basics right about what this is, about what's going on here, right? Can you do that first, right? And you know, and then you know, and people are chastising them as parents, and you know, I'm just kind of like, okay, every parent, like, yes, ideally, you want your, like, it is much easier for you as a parent if your children all fit into every, you know, conventional box there is, right? It's easier for you as a parent, right? Like, whatever, you know, the conventional boxes of society, if your children fit into all of those boxes, it is a lot easier for you as a parent.
Of course.
Okay. If they don't, then yeah, you got to do more work, and you know, you got to learn some more things, right? And a lot of people don't want to do that.
Nope.
And they don't want to maybe change the way that they would deal with their children as a result of their children not fitting into one of those conventional boxes. And to me, that's where a lot of this comes from. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just where, I mean, outside of the people who are just bigots, right? But a lot of this just comes from, you know, like, well, how can they do that? Like, you know, you think it's easy for them?
Exactly.
You think it was easy for them learning all of this stuff that they didn't know anything about?
And I think that's the negative of social media too, especially like we have so much access to things that people like to have an opinion on every fucking thing that's out there. You know?
Yeah.
It's infuriating sometimes.
Right. It's like you do the best job you can because, to be a parent for your children, and you want your children to come out better as adults than they started as children. And
correct.
And you got to make decisions about how you're going to do that. And you got to learn things. And if your children, if one or all of your children, if they don't fit into all of the conventional boxes, if they don't, then you have to learn some more stuff. You have to make different decisions. You have to handle them differently. Yeah. And okay, fine. That's your child. That's what you're supposed to do. And you do the best job you can. And that's what you do. And no, we would not all make the exact same decisions. But you know what? But you're supposed to do the best you can. You're supposed to do the best job you can for your children. And that's what. And if you have to do something, if you have to consider things that other parents don't have to consider, then oh well, too bad. I mean, but they're your child. You're supposed to do that for them, okay? And and so I have a little bit to say about that.
Does that job be this week or next week? You said, right?
It'll be probably next week, probably. Okay. And just because in general, it's and again, because like I don't know everything there is about all of that either. Okay, but but I don't go around talking about it all the time, and you should at least learn enough, know enough, and just don't be an asshole, right? I mean,
there you go.
I mean. But anyway, I can trust me, I go on a long forever about that.
Look forward to that episode, man. But Rob, thank you so much for coming to pod. As always, excellent job.
No problem, man. Anytime, man.
I'm happy to get that hip hop list. That's two podcasts you were ranking shit.
Man,
making the rankings. I love it.
Yeah. We gotta find something. Look, somebody needs to make another list so we can.
I'm sure it's coming somewhere. Yeah.